Hello, everybody. Good morning, good
Hello.
afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another IPL review week or weekly review of IPL review or of IPL. I don't know. I'm confused because I'm not able to gather my thoughts around what's happening right
But
now.
I don't blame you, Venu. Some of the action we've seen in the past week has been like that. Not many people have been able to make sense of what
Yes.
has been happening and what has been said.
What
Yeah.
about today, Yogi?
uh, let's just say we are still recovering from the shock. As I was telling Venu before we came live, when I turned the live streaming on, I saw 32-7 and I had to kind of look carefully to see was that 7 or was that 1. You see, the one is written in two ways. So then I had to see who are the people on strike, and then I said, okay, maybe what I'm thinking has happened.
or did I miss the 132 in the 32? Or is it,
Perhaps
or is it really 32?
That's what happened with me. I saw 3 for 2, so I was not sure whether it's 3 runs for 2 wickets or 2 runs for 3 wickets.
Yeah,
happens
one of
all
one
the
of
time.
those days. Depends if you're watching it in Australia or in the other parts of the world.
Correct.
They write it the other way around. All right, guys. So we have Ronak with us. Ronak, welcome to the show. He's a special guest today. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Venu, Mahesh, and Yogi for first of all inviting me on this show. I've been following this one, and since Yogesh has introduced me on the WhatsApp group that you had a channel, so obviously being a cricket passionate, you would always want to know what's happening across the world, and I think this is a perfect forum that you guys have started. So first of all, thank you very much. Second,
Our pleasure.
about me, I know Yogesh, and that's how he brought me onto this channel. We work together for Vodafone.
Mm-hmm.
From a cricketing standpoint, I started playing cricket from the age of 5. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and on all down to my father, who was
Mm-hmm.
a professional cricketer, who led me to introduce to a sport, and he used to wake me up at 5 in the morning, and we used to go for the cricket drills and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's played a very important role in me being playing cricket to the level which I'm playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but played good amount of cricket tournaments, won some
Yeah.
cricket tournaments, captain
Mm-hmm.
few cricket tournaments. So yeah, it's been
Mm.
good journey playing cricket and watching cricket.
So let's put your captain's hat on today and let's decipher what is going on with CSK right now.
See, Venu, as I was just mentioning to before we went online, I think
Mm.
somewhere you need to get that mental block out and start looking at a different viewpoint. I mean, it's not Chennai pitch. Everyone has
Mm.
come to a ground which is not a home ground for anyone. Yeah, you
Correct.
need to adapt to the situation. And as I
Yes.
said, Dhoni mentioning that we were into quarantine for 14 days, that has kind of did not help us. But that was the case for everyone. I mean, it was not only CSK who were in
Yep.
quarantine, correct?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and to be very honest, I expected CSK to bounce back.
Mm.
Uh, at least till this game, because if
Mm.
they were all permutation combinations that were going, that if CSK wins all the 4 games, they still get 14 points, and we have seen CSK do that. Correct? About
Yep.
3 years back, they won
Yep.
6 or 7 in the row, and they
Yep.
qualified and they played off and won the tournament. So yeah, I mean,
Correct.
but yeah, that's where we are now. Let's see how it
Mm.
goes.
Mm.
I hope
Eh,
Imran Tahir brings some magic and takes a fifer
Yeah.
and has that victory run.
If he takes a fifer there, he might run from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. I think
Yeah,
that's what
does
will
not need a
happen.
bus for that.
Yep. All right. So, I mean, guys, just to summarize the previous week, I think it's only fair to start with the Super Sunday that we had. You know,
Oh
three
yeah.
three super overs in one day. I mean, I was baffled. I didn't know what was happening. That's the IPL for you. Yogesh, why don't you talk about it and tell me what happened there, man?
The most the most amazing thing I thought is if you see how the runouts were affected by wicket keepers.
Oh,
And my
yes.
mind kept going back to June last year. And I'm like,
Yes.
there's a deja vu, and then there's a deja vu to deja vu.
Yep.
So just absolutely amazing, really. But I think
Mm.
I must credit Mohammad Shami a lot because
Oh,
many
yes.
people would have actually thought that well, we don't think he'd be able to defend that. And I think when he was able to defend, it probably gave Punjab that extra leg up going into the next super over. You know how when matches end like this, the
Mm.
mental momentum keeps changing, right? And in that
Correct.
match, you saw that, well, Mumbai came back from a position
Yep.
wherein they wouldn't have, and then they
Yep.
kind of reduced Punjab to a really low total, and Punjab
Yep.
defended it. We saw how it kept moving like a seesaw, right, from one end to
Correct.
another.
Yep.
But amazing credit also, I think mentally the teams handled that quite well, and you did sort of see that they were
Yep.
buckling or something like that. Even
Yep.
the chase of Decock and Rohit, I think they were trying to be sensible, not trying to
Yes.
be over aggressive, chasing
Mm.
6 runs, because that the
Yep.
last thing you want to see is something that happened on Saturday, that you
Yes.
try and hit a fancy shot, you lose 1 wicket, then the
Yep.
two people on the crease have extra pressure, whether I'm going to chase this one or whether I'm
Correct.
going to be conservative, right? So they did the sensible thing that there are
Mm.
Yorkers, try and dig them out, try and see if you can do it in singles, doubles, and maybe a loose ball, but that loose ball
Yep.
didn't come. So
Mm.
and fantastic thing is, um, Shami and Bumrah, both India's ace bowlers, when it
Yes.
mattered, they relied on Yorkers. And what
Oh
have we
yes.
seen in this tournament so often? And you
Yep.
would remember maybe, when Jaydev Unadkar had this opportunity in front of AB de Villiers, he tried slower ones, he tried cutters, and he tried different lengths. As
Mm.
against that, on Sunday, what we saw was, okay, going back to the old school and
Correct.
bowling 6 Yorkers and see, if you can get away with that. And that
Yep.
that that formula of bowling Yorkers during crunch times has given better returns than
Yep.
these fancy balls that bowlers are trying to produce with back of hand and back of the heads and wherever.
Hmm. See, I think it's better to use them as a variation, but if you make it too predictable, right, it doesn't matter, right? Because AB de Villiers, the way he was standing, it was right in his hitting zone. All he had to do is swing through the line of the ball because the ball wasn't gripping, wasn't bouncing, or it wasn't doing anything different, right? It was all as if a left arm spinner is coming to bowl from over the wicket and he's just swinging the bat across the line. That's what's happening, right? So that's why a Yorker, and Mahesh, we discussed this last week as well, right? It's the most
Yeah.
potent delivery. And how good was that over from both Bumrah and Mohammad Shami, right? Shami defending 5. Oh my God. Super over. That can't get better than that.
Correct. Okay, for
And
me, okay, yeah, Yogesh, complete first.
And the unfortunate part, I would say, Mahesh, is when Bumrah gave that five run over, everyone was crediting him, and
Yeah.
people had written off Shami well before he could even go to the top of his mark to bowl the first
Correct.
ball.
Correct.
I think a lot of times people tend to make these perceptions based on how a bowler would have done in the past. Now,
Yes.
Shami of today is much wiser, much like Zahir Khan is. He
Yes.
knows what his strong areas are. He knows where to bowl in what situation, etc.
Yep.
Um, so I think lesser credit is given to people like Shami, but I think Shami is probably bowling the best that he's ever done in his life.
Yes.
In that
Correct.
sense, in his career so far.
Absolutely. Yes, Mahesh, go on.
See, without a doubt, Shami's over was far superior to Bumrah because he had 5 runs to defend.
Yeah,
Whereas Bumrah was bowling. I mean, he could have given 10 runs, nobody would have complained about it. But Shami was to save the game. So that meant that Shami's over was far better than Bumrah's over. What I was disappointed with the batsmen, that is both Quinton de Kock as well as Rohit Sharma, is they did not use the crease. Okay.
Hmm.
Either they should have gone a little back. Once you go 2 steps back or 2 feet back, what happens
Yep.
is it becomes an over pitch delivery. Okay, the
Yep.
Yorker becomes an over pitch delivery. Or you go
Yes.
2 steps ahead, it
Yep.
becomes a full toss. Now
Yep.
standing in the same place and trying to just work out singles, you got 6 balls. Okay, you could have
Hmm.
at least done that after. Probably if 2 balls did not work, you should have done something with the crease. You should have
Correct.
either gone back or in front, or should have charged or done something to upset the rhythm. See,
Yep.
Shami is a rhythm bowler. Once he got the Yorkers coming in now, he can bowl
Yes.
6 balls like that, and that's what he did exactly. So
Correct.
that there, and especially coming from somebody like Rohit Sharma, so experienced. Look at
Hmm.
the super over that he did in New Zealand. He
Oh
smashed three
yes.
sixes and he won the game. So
Yes.
I mean, there was a lot of criticism that Pollard should have opened. I have no problem with Rohit Sharma and Quinton de Kock
yeah,
going with 5 runs required. I think they're perfectly justified to go and open the inning.
Hmm.
And Pollard coming at 3. The only thing is that they should have used the crease a little better. Okay,
Hmm.
or at least their mindset of just trying. Okay, they came in saying that we have to win because we've got only 5 runs to score. It's very easy to win. It's not
Hmm.
that. I mean, if you would have, even if one of the balls they would have charged ahead or just stayed back, I think the game would have been over.
Interesting. Yep.
So
Glad
perhaps
that
they
you.
were also,
Sorry, go ahead. You.
perhaps
Go
they
ahead.
were also anticipating the kind of balls Shami would bowl, looking at the field. Maybe
Yep.
sometimes that's what drives batsmen to do certain things or not to do certain things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, perhaps looking at the field, maybe you'd say, this was the day when Shami actually read everything right and he bowled it well.
Yeah, he
Correct.
bowled brilliantly. There is no doubt about that.
Yep.
I mean, he bowled
Yep.
phenomenal. That 6 balls, I think, would be the best 6 balls of his career.
Absolutely. And what about the universe boss? Oh my God. His comeback was the story, right? It was like,
Right at the beginning, I said, get Gale. Punjab will win 4. Gale can win you 4 matches on his own. Okay.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
means you got 8 points. Then you need only, collectively, you need to win 3 more matches only, effectively. You're around there. I was very surprised with the team selection. Okay.
Yeah.
They did not pick Deepak Huda, who's a big hitter for most part of the tournament.
And a
So the
handy bowler as
selection,
well.
yeah.
Yep.
So selection I thought was a little off the mark as far as Kumble is concerned. But I think once he got the opportunity, he had something to prove also, right, Gabe? And he proved it.
Yes. And Ronak, how about Mayank Agarwal, as a player, how, sensible he has been and how, how he's maturing into a proper match winner and a player who can take the team through, right? I mean, I'm really enjoying watching him along with, of course, the ever reliable KL Rahul for KXIP, right? So, I mean, I'm really impressed with what Mayank Agarwal has shown, the promise that he has shown in this tournament. How about that?
No, I think Mayank Agarwal is a very promising player. We've seen him open the innings. We've seen him playing that brilliant knock in Australia when he opened the innings. It was not an easy one.
Yes.
You've been called up for a test debut or a first 5 test match, and you put 100 against an Australia. Whether it's whatever was the bowling lineup, but still, it's Australia, so things are tough.
MCG, that too, Boxing Day test, right? Imagine the pressure. Yeah.
When people want to score 100 on a Boxing Day test match, I mean, they might call it as the biggest achievement of their career. Yeah. So I think Mayank Agarwal has been a very big asset to Kings 11,
Yep.
and the way he has adapted to the situation is really well. If we look at even the first game with Delhi, Punjab was totally out of the game. I know he played that fancy shot, which could have not been played. Then it was a different tournament start to Punjab. That got to super over, and then that got to Delhi winning in, which kind of momentum shifted to Delhi's end. Correct. I mean, and it was first game for both teams, and it's very important, as Mahesh said. It is about the number of games that people kind of found that they can win to reach that 14 points. But I would say after that also, Mayank has played a very good supporting knock to Rahul. At the same time, use his strength and hit those shots in Sharjah or picked up those smaller parts of the ground in Dubai and kind of played his natural game. I love the way he plays cover drive. I love the way he puts the straight shot on top of the bowler's head. Those are kind of, say,
and I think proper cricketing shots as well, right? I don't see him slogging across the line and stuff.
No.
And guys, on the same topic, how can we miss that amazing super manly save on the boundary line? Oh my God.
Phenomenal,
right? Yeah.
It speaks a lot about the mental toughness of these people, right? I mean, there are two things to it. We've seen so many of these saves that one, I think it's become part of the practice drill that,
correct.
It's almost like the basics you do now, but to do the basics when the pressure is so high, where Mayank deserves credit, because, in this IPL, what we've also seen is, at one hand, we've seen some brilliant fielding, and on another hand, we've seen people you don't expect to crumble under pressure. I've seen a Jadeja make a mistake. I've seen an Archer make a mistake. So that says a bit that, it's not about your skill, but you execute the skill when the pressure
under pressure.
Is
Exactly.
That was a fantastic save.
And I like the modesty of what Mayank said in the post match when he was being asked a question that did you ever thought of putting that ball in a player's hand so that you can get a catch? And he was very modest enough to say that no, my only objective was to save runs. So I mean, which
Yep.
means saving runs has become a very important part. I
Yep.
heard Mahila Jayawardena talking the other day that
Hmm.
now people are not counting the number of overs that they are behind. Mahila Jayawardena said that we are kind of 7 balls behind than our target of putting a total, so
Hmm.
the game has evolved so much wherein
Yeah.
people are not
Yep.
talking about we are 2 overs behind, we are
Yeah.
20 runs behind. We are saying that
Correct.
we are 6 balls behind, we are 4 balls
Exactly.
behind. So it's going to
Yep.
the next level.
I think this is what we spoke about, right, Yogesh, couple of weeks back as
Yeah.
well. A
Yeah.
90 of 30 balls in a chase, it used to be unimaginable. But in this IPL, what we have seen is that, you can come back from any situation. You can just score, say, 70 or 80 runs easily or 5 overs to win a game chasing.
Rajasthan did it, Mumbai did it, and
Correct.
I think our dear friend Morgan, he was on the way
Yes.
to do it, on the way to
Yeah.
do it because he
Yeah.
fell short and things. But I think the
Correct.
entire mindset around chasing has changed, right? I mean,
Yes.
earlier it was like 10 overs in last
Hmm.
10 over in last 5 overs is a bit of a challenge. Then
Yep.
it got to 12, and now people are saying, well, you know what? We'll probably
Yep.
smack 15 or 16 or 18 if it
Hmm.
requires that. Obviously, the
Yep.
ground conditions matter. Who's at the
Correct.
crease matters, and who's to come to
Yep.
bowl matters.
Yep. See,
Um,
I think 12 and over is the new 8 and over, right? If you ask me in a
Correct.
T20 format,
True.
a
True. Yeah.
160 is not a formidable score any longer, because if you see while chasing as well, if you need 12 and over, all you need is 1 6, one boundary, and 2 runs, right? If you take 3 balls out of each over and score these, you're right on track, right? So I mean, and it's not difficult to do that, considering the amount of the runs that have been scored in this tournament and the batting that we've seen and the lack of bowling Yorkers that we've seen, right? If a bowler misses its length, it's gone, right? So I think it's 12 and over is, if fair to say, is the new 8 and over in a T20 game.
Yeah, and I
so
think batsmen who are set are okay to chase 45 in last 3 overs. I mean, those are the kind of targets that they're putting.
Yep.
That if we
Yep.
are 44, 45 in last 3 overs, is very much
Yeah.
gettable.
Correct. If you have
now,
wickets in hand, yes. And if you have a set batsman, almost, it's the batting side which is in control. Yep.
okay, on this point, I want to ask you, and this relates to analytics and
Hmm.
maybe the role the analytics may have on how the bowlers approach these situations. Do
Yep.
you sometimes think too much information can also be harmful, which prompts you to do too many different things and try and
Hmm.
execute those too many different things in these pressure situations?
I'm
Now,
glad you asked this.
yeah, because Shami and Bumrah have actually shown that the old way works. So you don't need
Yep.
back of the hand slower ones. You don't
Yep.
need knuckle balls. You don't need that wide of
Yep.
the crease
Yep.
Yorker or slower one or the
Yep.
slower bumper they bowl. Your views on
Correct.
that?
So yeah, I mean, if you ask me, since I'm from this profession of sports analytics, and I've been harping on this and spoken to a lot of coaches, spoken to a lot of teams, and that's the common, thing which I tell everybody: too much of analysis leads to paralysis. You should not dig too much deep into numbers all the time as well. Think about your strengths, think about what works for you, and of course, these are there as a supplementary thing, right? Or something to complement your game, something to kind of, it's an enabler. Technology is just an enabler. It's not something which will replace you, right? Ultimately, it's your mind, it's your ability to play under pressure that matters, right? Numbers definitely do help a lot, but again, it also helps when you look at it in context. You cannot just apply the same logic everywhere. You have to use your brain as well, and that's why players are players, right? They're not computers. So and that's what differentiates, a good player from a great player as well. Great
Yeah,
players, anticipate and adapt. Good players
yeah.
react.
Mm.
So on that same note, Mahesh, what's happening with KKR, man? I think CSK and KKR are kind of going hand in hand now this week.
Yeah, I think ever since Morgan took over, the whole responsibility
Hmm.
has gone to Morgan.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He should have been
Yeah.
made the captain at the beginning. Not when it came in between the tournament. I don't think it has gone well with the whole balance of the team. Add to it, Andre
Hmm.
Russell got injured as well, right?
Hmm.
Sunil Narayan was called for his bowling action. So a lot of things happened with the KKR team, and I think that's the reason why they find themselves where they are. To
Hmm.
me, they were a good side. See, they're one team that has invested a lot on young Indian players. So
Yes.
look out for them in the future. You've got Mavi, you've got Nagarkoti, you've got Shubman Gill. So they've got
Yeah.
a good set of players, unlike Chennai Super Kings. So you can't actually compare Chennai Super Kings to KKR because
Hmm.
Chennai Super Kings haven't done that part well. They've just gone with the old team and hoping that they will deliver every single time. They did that last year, but 12 months or 15 months, and in this case, it's almost 18 months.
Yep.
For somebody who, I was just counting the number of players above 30, and there are almost 8 or 9 players above 30. Now, once you have that kind of, once the set of players are all over 30, 35, in certain cases they've got 41, 39, and you don't play for 12 months, it's very difficult for them to come out, suddenly come out and perform. If you see somebody as young as Jasprit Bumrah, found it extremely difficult in the first few matches to deliver. Now, he's a young kid. Okay, now if he's found it so difficult to deliver, then the guys who are over 35, 37, reflexes are slow, haven't played international cricket, haven't played any form of cricket, expecting them to come out and deliver straight away in alien conditions. First of all this bio bubble and all that, these are things which are not normal. So so it all affects your mind, right? As players, you for most of the star players, when they walk into the ground, they love to see the crowd around them. You find an empty stadium, it is like silent, can be deafening as well. That's the condition that they walked into. So it took a longer time for these guys to get adjusted. And now you see where they are. They're struggling. They're struggling today as well. They scored 114 runs in 20 overs, which is very bad.
CSK fans might love you because you've given them one more reason to defend.
Yogi, I think the whole process that Dhoni keeps talking about, I don't know what the process is. I've not been able to understand what he meant by the word process. See, if your process is working, you will win games. If you're not winning games, that means your process is not working. So if your process is not working, you either change the process or don't emphasize so much on the process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. Correct. And how about on a different note, there was a speculation of empty grounds and Virat Kohli might be the most impacted because of it. Because Virat Kohli is a kind of player
Who loves the
who likes
theater.
that energy. And I heard KP talking about Virat Kohli.
I also heard KP talking about that.
So I mean, so it's not. I mean, it's worked other way around for Virat Kohli, wherein they've come up strong.
See, if you look at the present form of Virat Kohli, I think he's delivering beautifully. He's playing. See, another thing also with Virat Kohli is that he's got this time he's got Padikkal who's playing very well, and he's got AB who's in the. He's Superman. To me, AB is Superman. He can do anything. On the ground, he's got 90 runs to be scored of 3 overs, and if AB is batting at Sharjah, I would still not stick my neck out and say that RCB is losing because he can do anything. And he's been playing that kind of innings. So along with Padikkal, Finch has been able to, we've not noticed Finch's failure because Padikkal has actually shielded him quite a bit.
Good point. Yes, exactly. I think, going back to KKR, just one point I wanted to make. How baffling was the decision to not introduce Lockie Ferguson in the power play overs when you're defending that kind of a total, and that's something which cannot go unnoticed. Honestly, I could not get my head around, what is this guy doing, in the field and not bowling, unless he had an injury or unless they had some other plan. And secondly, when you're defending such a low score, you cannot win the game by just defending and you need to pick wickets. So
they should open with him.
Exactly. You guys tell me, man, what was that all about? I mean, the guy who picked up 5 wickets in the previous game, 2 in the regular game and 2 in the super over. Why would he do that?
I think anybody's guess on that. I mean, we've seen many baffling decisions, and this is one of those. I mean, how else do you? Because you'd actually struggle to explain so many of these things, as to why have certain captains taken certain decisions. For instance, mind can go back to Ravindra Jadeja bowling that last over and kind of thinking, okay, was he best suited? And you'd say, okay, there were 2 left-handers on the crease, and it would have been easy for them. So it's hard to imagine why he was exposed and not somebody else. And I just put it down to things that we can't really understand, fold and not worry so much about it.
Oh, let's say it's 2020. I think that's what it is.
On a slightly upbeat note, I want to kind of take our minds back to that super over again, and the sort of urban legend that might come out of it now. That Mayank Agarwal asking Chris who's going to take the strike. Man, do you really want to even ask this question?
I want to hit the first ball outside the boundary.
And so he did.
He did on the first ball.
I think we've
Yeah.
seen images of Chris Gayle cheering Rahul and Mayank
Hmm.
from the
Hmm.
balcony, right, in initial games. But I
Hmm.
think inside he must have been just waiting for his chance. And
Correct.
I think his celebration when he scored that 50 actually told the story, isn't it?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Showed
think
who
he
the
was
boss is.
exactly.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
hurt
And,
inside. He wanted to be there, definitely, for sure.
and he mentioned in the post-match presentation, he said that
Yeah.
one, it is like only 7 innings out of close to 400 T20s that he have played, wherein he's batted
Hmm.
number 3
Hmm.
or down. And
Hmm.
second is, he said that he's not come here to just sit on the bench. I mean, and someone
Exactly.
like that hurts its ego. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's what he did. It
Yeah,
delivered
Yep.
50,
Yep.
and as Mahesh said, with Gale, you need 4 good
Hmm.
games, and
Correct.
and he is value for money over there.
Exactly right. I mean, honestly, I would blindly put him in the opening slot. I
Oh
mean, now they
yeah.
are playing him in the number 3 position. That's fine. But I'm just saying that he'll be an automatic choice for me any day in a T20 game for sure. Yogesh, you have a friend listening from UK. Hi, Annie. How are you doing? Good to see you. Cool. All right, guys. So today's game, what do you feel? 114, is it good enough against Mumbai Indians for the batting lineup that they have, and with the bowling lineup that Chennai has? Ronak, you go first.
I think, see, it's gonna be difficult, but then CSK is known to do things which
Hmm.
are not so, say, popular, or they are known to bring miracles out of
Hmm.
nowhere.
Hmm. Hmm.
So let's see. I would still bank on a victory lap by Imran Tahir. Bear in mind, Rohit is not there. Bear
yeah,
in mind,
Correct.
Rohit is not there. So you're
Agree.
gonna be Saurabh Tiwari. Saurabh
Hmm.
Tiwari, I'm not sure how fit he is, whether he can stand more than 6 overs. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's how it is. So it's all about the mental game that we bring into the
Yep.
table. But yeah, I
Yep.
think obviously it's gonna be Mumbai with the momentum that they have got.
Hmm.
What I would want to see is Imran Tahir get some wickets. I want
yeah,
to see
Interesting.
uh,
Hmm.
Josh Hazelwood bowl that test match line and length
Hmm.
outside off thumb and keep bowling there for 4 overs. It's so brilliant
Correct.
to watch. Yeah.
yeah,
Correct.
So yeah, but I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
Mumbai.
I think they do have the resources, if you ask me, in the bowling lineup. I mean, I was really impressed with Deepak Chahar. I mean, his swing and his guile, with all those variations coming
yeah.
in, going out,
Very good, very good
amazing to
mind.
watch. Really good to
Good
watch,
mind.
right? I mean, especially in this format. I mean, I would definitely not expect a bowler to swing that ball that much, right? And that too in UAE. It's not even England, right? So
Yeah,
amazing
and you
talent.
have and you have Santner sitting outside. Yeah,
Santner
still.
sitting outside. We have Sam Curran who's bowling pretty well as well. And, I mean, thanks to him today that they got to this total, right? Otherwise, it was curtains for them, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
interesting. Mahesh, what do you feel? What's your prediction for today?
See, for Chennai to win, Bombay has to play really bad. That's the
Hmm.
only way Chennai can win. Chennai being good may not be enough. Mumbai
Yeah,
has to play
agree.
really bad for them to
Yep.
lose this game. Secondly,
Yep.
my thing is that the pitch eases out in the night. Okay,
Correct.
so the
Hmm.
dew would come, the ball would start skidding, and once the ball starts
Yeah.
skidding, you don't get lateral movement. You don't get enough turn. There will be a little bit of dew outside. It'll be difficult for the bowling team, and India. I think Mumbai Indians batting looks good. Surya Kumar
Hmm.
Yadav has to come good because he did not have a great match last time around. Ishan Kishan did not have a great match around. And
Yep.
Pollard is showing a lot of maturity this time around. So I'm very,
Hmm.
very happy about that. So if Quinton de Kock, you just need two partnership and you're home
Yep.
and without a problem. Just
Correct.
114 runs. So it's going to be very difficult for Chennai to pull out something. And the mental state in which Chennai is right now, I
Hmm.
don't think it's going to be easy at all. So for me,
Interesting.
it's going to be Mumbai.
So good point, Mahesh, about chasing becoming easy, which is again baffling because, maybe a couple of weeks back we saw, the wickets slowing down and, chasing was becoming difficult. But now suddenly, and even Rohit Sharma was, quoted saying that, chasing is now becoming easy because now probably with the winter setting in and the dew
Yeah.
setting in, the wickets are becoming easier and the ball is coming onto the bat nicely. So that's also interesting, right? Midway through the tournaments, all these small subtle changes are happening, which is quite
Weather
interesting to
changes.
watch.
The good thing about cricket is that cricket is influenced by weather.
Yeah,
Correct.
Other than cricket and tennis, there's no other
Yeah.
too many sports, a team sport. At golf, of course, there is
Yeah.
weather plays a big role. But
Yeah.
between tennis and cricket, there are two games where weather plays a big role. It rains for 10 minutes, you get a little life on the pitch, the ball
Yeah.
starts swinging, and you start getting wickets.
Not just weather, Mahesh, the pitch, the condition of the ball, the type of bowler.
Yeah,
And,
because
there's so many
the
things
thing is that,
coming into the picture.
once dew comes in, everything changes.
Exactly, right. And
So
that's why
I
the
think the
sport,
pitch stats,
yeah,
it's
that's why.
beautiful.
That's why they say glorious uncertainties, right, with cricket.
True, very
So
true.
it's not the
And
same
to
thing everywhere. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
and to
Ronak.
and to add that they brought a pink ball now. Yeah. So you had already had a
Yeah.
white ball and you have pink ball into the consideration. How about bringing pink ball into IPL? I mean,
Trust
Doesn't
me,
that swing quite a bit?
I have played with a pink ball in T20s and it'll make people dance. That's what I'll
Yeah,
say.
it swings quite a
Nothing
bit.
more, nothing less. It will make you dance. And 114 might be a match winning score if you have a pink ball.
It's harder to see, I feel, and I think people have
Hmm.
also made mistakes while fielding because they
Hmm.
see, it does something to the eye that it.
Yeah.
I think the perception of the trajectory
Yeah.
may not be, probably also to do with your conditioned response to a white ball and a red ball.
Correct. Correct.
React to it better, and pink being such a new thing for people who,
Exactly.
let's say, played cricket for a couple of
Hmm.
decades at least, for them to all of a
Yeah.
sudden be introduced to a new entity might be.
Yeah. I think one notable thing about the pink ball, and which a lot of players have also pointed out, is that the seam is not very pronounced, and you can't see the seam position that
Yeah.
clearly. So that's the reason why they're not able to spot which way the ball is going to swing. Because with a white ball or even with a red ball, you have that seam looking very
It's
pronounced, and
pronounced. I think it's pronounced.
yeah, and you can see it clearly, right? Which direction it's pointing towards, how it's going to swing and stuff. Yep.
Now, because we're speaking of pink ball, we're
Hmm.
probably thinking of slightly futuristic things that we could do. I'm
Hmm.
going to now talk about what if something like an IPL is played in a country like New Zealand, where you got smaller grounds but
Hmm.
grass on the pitch.
Oh, interesting. Yep.
So the balance, at least give the bowlers
Yeah.
an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean,
But do
I
they
would
really
love.
leave grass on the pitch for T20? Because I know I've seen that happening for tests and
I'm
ODIs.
saying why not? I'm saying why
Yep.
not? So, for instance,
Yep.
you come to Sharjah and you
Yep.
get bowlers bashed for 220 runs and
Hmm.
still give opposition a chance to chase it. What
Yeah.
happens if you leave the grass on? You have somebody like a Trent Bolt or even, let's say, a Bumrah or a Shami, and
Yeah.
obviously our friends in England,
Hmm.
who can do genius things when the ball is swinging. And all of a sudden, you got an IPL wherein you're probably looking at 100 runs being a challenge
Hmm.
because the ball's just snaking around. That'll be a good challenge to see as well, isn't it? I'm sure. I think people who actually appreciate good cricket aren't insistent that every ball is smacked for a six.
I
I'll tell
agree
you
with
what will happen.
Yogesh on that. The best matches are the low-scoring matches.
correct.
I'll tell you what will happen
Remember
though.
them?
Lot of batting careers will end. That's what will happen.
Or the other way around, a lot of batting careers will come into consideration in IPL. Pujara might be
Yep.
picked up by a team.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
You never know.
Ajinkya Rahane might open for Delhi Capitals. Who knows, right?
Imagine,
Yeah.
imagine all of a sudden you're saying two scoring shots in an over instead of
Yeah.
a dot in
Yeah.
an over. Now how they've started like looking at bowling, right? Can you bowl one dot
Yeah.
or two dots? And now you're saying,
Yeah.
can you score
Can
off
you get a
two
boundary
balls
somewhere?
somewhere, sneak in.
Agree. That'll be interesting to watch. Yes, for sure. So, guys, quickly before we end the good, bad, and the googly from this week, Yogesh.
I'll probably start with good, and the good is,
Hmm.
the long tournament has given people to actually reassert their skills.
Hmm.
I think a week or two ago, I spoke of Shikhar Dhawan and how he's due for a big score.
Oh yes.
Two
Oh yes.
back-to-back hundreds is amazing. Plus his,
Yes.
mental strength in at least the first 100 was really key for them to actually win that game.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, Shikhar definitely, like we mentioned before, big match player, and you mentioned about Daddy Hundreds. Yeah, definitely. He is somebody who is, if he's on song, he really has a big one coming out. Ronak, do you want to take a shot at the bad? What happened last week?
I think the bad part I would say is obviously while Punjab won at the end after getting two super overs, but if Jordan would have not taken that long route from Abu Dhabi to Dubai to the crease, they would have won it. They would have won the last ball itself. I mean, did you
Yeah.
see the ground that he covered? He covered at least 6 meters more and he was short by say like half
Couple of
a field.
inches.
Yeah, I mean that makes a difference. So I think that's the one to watch out for when you are focusing on saving runs. You're focusing on number of balls that you are behind in the game. You also need to
Correct.
focus how to
Basics.
basics
Yes.
and how to run.
Correct.
So I think
Agree.
that's the one for me.
Absolutely. And I mean, given their, the fielding coach being John T. Rhodes, but if you even see John T. Rhodes, how he used to run, he was one of the
Yeah.
swiftest runners, between the wickets. And his touchdown and, turning around and going back was something to watch, something to die for. He was amazing.
I think the simplest, the simplest thing here is, can you run the shortest distance possible when you're
Correct.
running the double, for instance, right? As
Yeah.
straight as possible and as straight back as possible. Now
Exactly.
that could actually be influenced by how is the bowler backing up in his run up, and
Correct.
sometimes you may or may not be able to do that. But I think
Yes.
the focus is, if I don't go wide, that means I'm running shorter distances, which means I'll have shorter time to come back.
Correct.
Skill,
I think
skill
here,
is-
if you ask me, Jordan probably did not anticipate the throw to be so good and to his end, because he thought that the danger end was the other end where he was turning back from. And that's what probably, that small, subtle, kind of mistake, that mistake kind of nearly cost them the game. And I think that's a good point there, Ronak. Mahesh, Googly, so many of them. Which one is your favorite?
I think David Warner walking in at number 5.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Which was very, very surprising to me because Kane Williamson had pulled his hammy, but they sent him as an opener, and they kept back. Warner walked in at 5, which I thought was a little unexpected. And now I presume that Williamson is going to take a couple of more matches before he comes back. So
Yes.
Holder is a good replacement. I think I'd spoken about this in some other show as well. That Holder is definitely, because he gets both batting as well as bowling.
Yes.
Now, if you see the SRH bowling after Bhuvaneshwar Kumar has left the team, they're very weak on experience.
Yes.
They don't have anybody. Rashid Khan has to bowl 4 overs. He has to pick up 3 wickets. He can't give more than 10 runs. So too much of pressure on Rashid Khan. So you have somebody like Holder.
I like how you put it.
That's like a template for Rashid Khan. This is your job: 4 overs, 3 wickets, 10 runs. That's it. Stick to it.
So the pressure is getting on him as well. So if you see, he also at times has an off day. He's also human, so he's going to have an off day.
Correct. Agree. I think, so just before we end, one really good thing which I loved about yesterday's game was Manish Pandey and Vijay Shankar. I mean, I just loved the way 2 Indian batsmen and in the middle overs, and, they put their hand up and took the game through. Manish Pandey's counter attack, that was amazing. The way he attacked after those 2 wickets fell, and Vijay Shankar holding his nerve and, supporting him, and then in the end kind of accelerating and playing some of those lovely shots. Even to Jofra Archer, he was quite brilliant in the end. So I think that was something which was really good to see. And I think we spoke about this earlier as well, right? That Vijay Shankar definitely should bat higher up the order for Sunrisers Hyderabad. I don't think he's really fit to do that finisher's role because he needs a bit of time. He's a proper batsman. He's not a slogger who will, hit it out of the park every ball. So he needs time to get set. That's what happened yesterday as well. So I think it will be good on Sunrisers to kind of use him in that position along with Manish Pandey. So
that is good.
Yeah.
And then you have people like Priyam Garg and other youngsters who can chip in, come and hit few boundaries here and there.
You have Samad and, all these guys to kind of do the finisher's job for you. They are powerfully built and, they're kind of there for that job, right? All right, guys. So, sorry, Yogesh, anything else to add?
One last thing is, I think what we are also seeing now finally is that the sides that have a really good balance between the youth and the experience are doing better than the sides which are either just youth and maybe just experience.
Yeah, agree. I absolutely agree. It will be interesting to watch, what will transpire this week. And, we'll definitely get a fair idea in terms of who will be the top 4 now going into the playoffs. I think Mumbai and Delhi probably are pretty safe. We could say that safely that, they are there. I think the next 2 would be something to watch out for.
I think RCB will also make it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. My bad. I forgot RCB. Yeah. So I think these 3 teams are looking quite good.
For the 4th spot, it's going to be a good challenge.
Correct.
So it's imperative that Kings 11 Punjab wins. I want KKR to win. So let it be decided in the last match instead of being, once. If you know who are the 4 teams that's going to play, then the remaining matches become just of academic interest and nothing else, and that is not good for IPL.
Correct. And I think if you see the trends, generally it happens this way in the IPL, right? always tend to go till the last week or till the last league game to understand who will be making the playoffs. That's how it has been predominantly, right? So, and that's the beauty of this tournament and the nature of this format, right? Because
Venu,
it's so unpredictable.
but
And
please don't say it this way, because it almost makes it sound like the tournament is designed that way.
Okay, I don't want to get into that argument.
let's say the top 4 teams will take
Yep.
the momentum into the next IPL, which is 4 months round the corner. Yeah.
Yes, I think it will be interesting to see because, there's never been 2 IPLs in such short span of time, right? So that will be interesting in terms of how the teams react, how the players react, and, and plus, given the conditions that we live in today with all this bio bubble and, secure bubble stuff, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard time.
Might not happen in 4 months. Might not happen in 4
Yeah.
months.
I mean, if you ask me, logically, it should not because it's too much to ask for from an organization standpoint, from the players as well, right?
Players' point of view.
Exactly.
And second thing is, we are forgetting this is a club tournament, and when the cricket resumes, the country boards might want the best players back, so that you can also have some national cricket.
Correct.
It can't always
Agree.
be IPL.
And guess what? I'm really looking forward to India and Australia down under this summer.
Oh, lovely series!
That's gonna be
a lovely series.
Yeah, I think
good cricket in New Zealand also, with couple of countries.
Thank you for saying it, because no cricket is as much fun to watch as is in New Zealand, because first 2 days it's a skill by fire, and I think then 3rd, 4th day onwards, obviously easier for batting, but you should have had enough to go to day number 3 and 4,
which is the beauty of Test cricket, right, Yogesh? If you see how it happens in India, it's the opposite, complete opposite. The first 2 days are batting paradises. You can just bat and score 500 runs, and 3rd or 4th day onwards, it becomes a complete rank turner, right? So, whereas in New Zealand, it's like the opposite. That's the beauty of Test cricket and cricket in general as well.
Yeah,
different conditions.
Yeah, but when people talk about New Zealand and the bowling in the 1 day or Test match, the first thing that comes to my mind is the way Sehwag played a knocks in New Zealand. That was, people said it's going to be 130, 140, 150, and Sehwag said that's only going to be my score. 130, 140, something that I'm going to make. It was good to watch that inning. I think it was about 8-9 years back, but it was when Sehwag was in his peak form.
Correct. Agreed. True. I mean, no better sight to watch, right, than Virendra Sehwag in full flow, right? I mean, it was amazing. And belated happy birthday to him. This week it was his birthday as well, right?
Yeah. So maybe we should have called this Cherry and Timber Baitak or something like that,
Chiranji or Lakdi ki baatein.
To kind of give credit to Virendra Sehwag's Baitak that he does every day.
Oh yes.
Very interesting.
I think a lot of cricketers have turned into something else after retirement. Surely, we are seeing a completely different side of them. So, it's interesting to watch as well. All right, guys, I think that should be it for today. Ronak, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on board and great views as well. So, we wish to have you sometime once again on the show. And
at the risk of coming up with a really bad pun, I'd say, aapke aane se show pe Ronak aa gayi.
Thank you very much, Yogi. I mean, I think anytime. I think you mentioned it to me that we'll call you sometime on the show, and I was very excited. As I said, this is going to be my first ever show that I have done, which is going live. Great. So I think thank you very much, Venu, Mahesh, Yogi, for inviting me, and look forward.
It was real fun talking to you on cricket.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Look forward to an interesting cricketing conversation. Thank you very much.
Yes, definitely, Ronak. Thank you, and we will be back next week once again. And let's hope for some really good action so that we can talk about the good, bad, and the googly next week as well. All right, guys. Thank you. Cheers. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.